Thank you. Thank you. So again, I just wanted to start off by apologizing that Felicity is not going to be here with us. She was ill and couldn't make it out, but I am here to step in and give you guys as many information as I can. I know it says Summer Medical and Dental Educational Program on the slide, but it's not only concentrated on that. That's the program that I did over the summer. So again, my name is Jose Martinez. I am a third year at the University of California, Santa Cruz, majoring in chemistry. Thank you. I just wanted to talk about how it is that I went from an undergrad looking for internships to actually getting the internship. Just to get a rough idea, how many first years do we have with us today? Couple. Second years, third years, fourth years, and post-bac. Yeah, we have one. Okay, awesome. So it really, internships is looking for something not only that looks good on your resume, but something that you enjoy. Does anybody, I don't know, could you guys say things that you guys enjoy from your undergrad or experience, or does somebody enjoy research? Yeah? Okay. Somebody enjoy clinical work? Somebody enjoy public health? Sports medicine? No? All right, that's cool. So it really just pertains to what you enjoy. For those of you that enjoy research, you want to look for something that's research affiliated with medicine, right? For those of you that enjoy clinical work, you want to find something that will allow you to get those hours in with clinical patients, physicians, and make those networks. So the way that I started my second year looking for internships was literally going on Google. A lot of us try to use, these really certain websites like AAMC starting off, but it's good to kind of go broad first and kind of get an idea of what's going on overall. I started by inputting, clinical internships over the summer, and you will be directed to a lot of websites. AAMC was one of them, which was obviously it's a great resource. They give you a lot of internship lists, and it is really helpful to kind of see what's out there. The Summer Medical and Dental Education Program was one of those that was on there. So starting off by broad and narrowing down is really helpful. I started looking into research opportunities about September of my second year, and I soon realized that the application periods are from November to about April. So varying depending on like what internship you're looking at, that's basically the period that you will be applying. And within that period, you also have to get letters of recommendation, transcripts, CVs, and personal statements. So it's really important, in my opinion. One of the main things that I would urge you guys to do is to apply as soon as applications open. A lot of the programs are on a rolling basis admissions, so SMDP was one of those. So the sooner you apply, the chances of you getting in are better. In terms of letters of recommendation, I would suggest you giving your mentor or the person you're asking to recommend you or write your letter of recommendation at least a 2-month period. So the reason I say that is because we know professors are busy. We know that if you're having a physician be your recommender, they're busy. So if you give them a block of 2 months, you could say, okay, I started this day. A month from now, I'm going to send them an email, give them a call, and say, hey, I just wanted to remind you that I asked for a letter of recommendation. I just wondering how it's coming along. Give them a little reminder. They're busy, they have classes, they have research to do, or they're with patients. So a month is a reminder, right? Then after that, 2 weeks to make sure that they're writing and working on it. A lot of the times, applications, I'm pretty sure you've heard this already, applications are turned in, but the recommenders are busy, and they just unfortunately missed the deadline to send in the letters. And because you didn't get the letter of recommendation, even though you were a solid applicant, you might have not gotten the internship. So just try to get your recommenders, and keep checking and double checking, making sure that they turn it in. That's one of the things I urge you guys to do as well. Your personal statements, you want to give yourself time to review, make sure that what your story or the story you want to portray is really written within those words that are limited. So for those of you interested in research, how many of you have heard about the National Institutes of Health? A few. So the National Institutes of Health offer biomedical research internships. The application starts in November. You actually get to go out to one of the facilities, work with a mentor, and do biomedical research. Maybe for those of you interested in clinical and are currently first or second years, SMDP is a great one. They have you do classes. I'll go a little bit more into my experience with that internship, so I'll talk about it more later on. As well, let's see, sports medicine. That's a little bit more challenging, but again, if you go on websites like the University of Washington's website or any specific school that you like, they might have internships in sports medicine. AAMC has great lists of different facilities that offer the different internships. For those of you, let's see, what else did we have? Is that about it for interests? Yeah? Okay. So I'm gonna go really quick through my experience over the summer with SMDP. So I did SMDP at the University of Washington, Seattle Medical School this past summer. I really enjoyed the experience. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things. So let's see. What did we do? Does anybody want to take a guess on what we did? Nobody? Just one, like, quick guess. Yeah. So we went more in depth with medical and dental education. Correct. We did that by taking 6 classes. So as part of SMDP, we all take physics together. We all take biostatistics together. We all take call to action together. We do case-based presentations together. We do biochemistry or organic chemistry, depending on your background, and as well microbiology or biology, depending on your background. The cool thing about these classes is that they're pretty exciting. I mean, look at my face. Come on. I was like smiling. So this was actually taken at the case-based presentation class. Case-based presentation is really awesome and a unique class. This class is typically taken by medical students that are already matriculated into medical school. It's looking at actual cases from actual patients that have been previously dealt with, and you yourself and a team of colleagues, because we all know medicine is dealt with a team, right? You go and put yourself in the place of the physician. So you start off by saying, okay, so I'm reading, the history of this patient. And I think, okay, he's complaining about some pain. What type of questions should I ask? Why should I ask these questions? You start getting into that critical mindset. You start thinking about what you would do if you were a physician, and you follow the patient from beginning all the way till the treatment. And you do this in a group, and it's a great experience. I'm not going to say that the classes were easy, because once you're done and you've taken the finals, you will be exhausted. It's very difficult, but it's very engaging, and it's a great eye-opener. So what else did we do? Anybody have any ideas of what else we did? Maybe on this side? Yeah.
You meet actual physicians?
Did we meet actual physicians? Right on it. So we did get to shadow actual medical and health professionals. Depending on what you wanted to do with your career, if you were dental or medical, you would shadow a dentist or a physician. I myself was lucky enough to shadow in the emergency room. I shadowed in the operation room, so I followed a patient from beginning of the operation all the way till they left. And that was a great experience. We also got to do, well, at least I did, I was able to do internal medicine in geriatrics and also family practice. So they want you to see as many different type of physicians as you can. You know, how do you know that you want to be in pediatrics when all you do is surgery? You're just shadowing a surgeon. How do you know? You don't, because you haven't tried it, right? So the neatest thing about this was that when we went to the operation room, we got into scrubs, and we actually did everything a physician would do, from disinfections to like getting into the scrubs, walking, and like everything a physician, surgeon would do. So that itself is a great experience, because you're like, wow, I'm in scrubs. I have my badge, my medical badge, right here that a physician would wear. You put yourself at that level already. So there is more. Does anybody have any idea of what else we did? Yeah. Network. So network went along the lines with physician shadowing. You work closely with the physician and you do network. But the neat thing about SMDP at UW was that we actually use the facilities that first, second, third year students use. To name a few, we went into the dental labs, and we went into the anatomy labs and the ISIS. So the ISIS is the Institute of Simulation and Interprofessional Studies. Does anybody want to guess what that means? It's just a really long name to say the place where surgeons practice. So, as you could see at the top picture, there's that screen with like the two little needles and some red ball, right? So that is to simulate a surgery. So right there, I was performing surgery as a surgeon on a digital patient. So even though the patient's not there, you're kind of saying, wow, I actually have a patient in my hands. Like, this is how it must feel. It's really difficult. You really have to have steady hands to be a surgeon. Luckily, my patient did survive. It took me about like 3 hours to do the simple procedure. All the procedure was to hold the nerve, raise it, and cut it. If you have a ball and string, you could just raise it and cut it, right? It's not that easy at all. So we actually were able to go into a simulated ER. What that means is that there's a room. It looks exactly like the ER. They have the gurney with the patient on there. They have all the monitors, everything that you would see at an ER room. And you yourself are performing whatever it may be. Maybe you're an anesthesiologist at that time. You're putting the patient under. You have to do all the process. And the cool thing is that that dummy actually has a voice box. So if you mess up or you hurt the patient, it'll say, ah, that hurts. So it'll talk to you. So it's really awesome. You know, another thing was that we were at the dental labs. So even though I was medical based, everybody in the program does both medical and dental. In the dental labs, that's where first and second year dental students work. We got to make a mold out of wax out of a tooth. Like, we scraped and did everything a dentist would do. We took impressions. So you know when you go to the dentist, has anybody had impressions taken? Yeah, a few. So that's really hard. It's really difficult because the clay, when you're pushing up, it might push back, and if it pushes back and it solidifies, you're in trouble, right? Because it's blocking, you can't breathe. So we were able to practice that. I have a newfound respect for dentists, really. It's a difficult job. We also got to do hands-on, really hands-on. That was a flooring treatment that one of the students did to somebody else. So the students actually got to work with each other and do a flooring treatment on somebody else. And we also did infants, giving, helping them open their breathing. Let's see. Is it all work and no play? What do you guys think? Yes. It's 6 weeks of nonstop hard work, okay? It's not. So the neat thing is that, yes, you work hard, but as you work hard, you actually get to go out, see the city, you know? They give you the weekend to explore and have a good time. So you could go into the city, find an arcade, have a good time over the weekend. You could go to Mount Rainier. You could go climb Mount Rainier. You know how awesome that is? You could go to the famous gum wall. It's straight up a wall with gum. Put your mark there. So somewhere within there, that's have a gum right there. Baseball games. I'm not the fan of Mariners, but it's okay. It was a great time. And the neat thing was that we actually got to participate in a parade in Seattle. So it's great that people are recognizing the hard work that undergraduates or pre-med, pre-health people do, right? Again, you will have a great time. There's no restrictions as to when you could go. Again, you put in the amount that you want to receive, okay? And it'll have you doing backflips, I swear. Those were actually my roommates and a friend. So, SMDP, you will change after you do the program. When you go in, you won't be the same person as you when you leave. Personally, when I walked in, you know, I was like, yeah, you know, I just want to do an MD, that's it, for sure. University of Washington is really public-based, public health-based. And we actually were able to also work with migrant camps. So our camps where migrant workers live while they're doing their season of work. And that really opened my eyes. You know, medicine is not only about you treating the patient, but it's also about you being an advocate. You know, as a health professional, you're not only going to be with the patient in the clinic, okay? You are also going to be an advisor, because as somebody walks in, they're going to trust you. They're going to trust you and they're going to tell you what's wrong. And you are going to be able to say, you know, I understand. And this is what I know. You will also be a lot of things in that job, you know? So it will change you, but you don't have to make that face. You should just put a smile on. It'll be good. Different internships will give you different careers, different opportunities. For example, for me, another difference was that it created an entire new family. For me, my family went from 7 all the way to 80 people. The program was consisting of 80 people. They open the doors for you to meet with diverse people. You meet people from all over the country. You get to see what other people think, their opinions and ideas. So the way that you think will be different in a good way, because your eyes will be open to different things. Like I said, you will meet some great people, and that's my new family right there. We all still keep in touch from summer. So that's it for now about SMDP. Is there any questions on, okay.
Who can apply to this program?
Good question. So who can apply to this program? Summer Medical and Dental Education Program is open to currently first and second year students. So it is meant to give you a perspective on medicine and really say, this is what I want to do. This is really where I'm at right now. And the great thing, though, is are there any community college students? Yeah? So depending on the different sites, there's, I believe, 12 different sites. Some have their focus on working with community college students. I know the University of California, Los Angeles has this program, and their focus is to work with community college students. So you could go on to smdp.org, I believe, or simply Google SMDP, and it'll come up. It'll give you the description of each different site. It'll give you the description of what they offer, who their main focus is. And the great thing about this program also is that, how much do you think I had to pay for this? I mean, we traveled, we went to the city, we shadowed, we took classes. No. Close. So somebody in the back said 0. That's wrong. Any other guesses?
$100.
No. So somebody else said $100.
$2,000.
$2,000? Nope. And again, I flew from Santa Cruz to Seattle. Round trip. How much? 50? Nope. Yeah.
The cost of the flight itself, that's it.
Nope, not even that. So somebody said the cost of the flight. So what I had to pay was negative $400. So they actually gave me money to travel and have a great experience. So internships will allow you to travel, get paid, and just have a good time as well. Yeah.
You mentioned different sites around SMDP.
Mm-hmm.
When you apply, do you get to select a certain number of sites you can apply to?
Okay, good question. So the question was, from the different sites, is there a limit, right, to how many sites you could apply to for the summer medical and dental education program? There is. There is one application, a general application, but you get 3 sites that you could choose from. Once you choose those 3 sites, then they'll tell you either if you got accepted, denied, or waitlisted. Once you know that, then you could choose which one you want to go to. So, question?
Jose, I have a question coming in from the audience. Is it possible, I know you said that the SMDP program is specifically geared towards first and second year students. Are there any locations within the SMDP program that would consider a post-bac student who's perhaps coming into pre-health sciences for the first time and might in some ways be considered a first or second year?
That's a great question. So depending on the site, I believe they look at, or do you guys want me to repeat the question? I apologize. Repeat the question? No? Everybody heard it? Okay. So depending on the site, there's, for example, there was a community college student who technically was a 5th year. So he's been in college for about 5 years, and he was accepted. So it really just depends on the site and how you fill out your application. So really look into the sites and see what they're looking for. And if it's something that just works with what you're looking for as well, go for it. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't apply. Again, for post-bac students, there's also multiple internships. For example, there's the HCOP internship. Have you heard of it?
I actually was involved in that this past summer with Stanford.
Okay.
So
Do you want to come up and say a little bit about that?
okay, so as Mr. Martinez was saying about SMDP, how it's geared towards first and second year students, Stanford HCOP program, Health Careers Opportunities program, is geared towards sophomores and juniors, and it's geared towards students that are in the Bay Area, community colleges, CSU schools, UC schools, and state schools, basically CSU. And it's, again, a very intense program, 6 weeks. You're taking literally like 8 different classes. You're taking cell bio, anatomy, again, like with, crash dummy in certain area. You're actually working with live cadavers, limbs, and you're taking civic activism, leadership, a bunch of classes, and we pretty much get started on top of that. In addition to us being put on campus, classes being paid for, it's like a scholarship internship in a sense. So that was definitely, and it's for pre-med students.
Yeah.
But it's not just pre-med. Like my major is chemistry, and I was the only chem major, and they only accept 25 students. But I was a chem major. There were 21 bio majors and 2 public health majors. So, I mean, it doesn't matter what your major is. It just shows that it's just about the passion of what you have, you know, and what you put in the application. So.
And again, this just really quick before I get to the questions. Actually, one of the participants at HCOP was a post-bac student this past summer. So that just goes to show that even though you're post-bac, that doesn't mean you're going to get rejected just because you've been in school longer. Just still apply. So we had a question here and then back there.
I didn't catch the name of the program. Did you?
It's called Stanford Health Career Opportunity Program. If you were to go outside to the career fair, Marcella Anthony, one of the managers for the program, director of the program, she's actually out there at the little booth. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
We had a question in the back.
Do you get credit for the courses you take? Because I know at HCOP you don't get credit for it. So.
Good question. So the question was, do we receive credit for the classes we take? Again, it depends on the site. So at the University of Washington site, you do not receive credit. The classes are meant to introduce you to the courses that you will be taking in the future and open your eyes as to where you're going to be headed. There are some sites that do offer you credit for the classes that you take, but again, it might be a trade-off between receiving credit or more clinical hours. For our site, we ended up doing about 40 clinical hours of shadowing and just being inside the ambient. Yeah. Any more questions?
I definitely encourage people to apply for a lot of these opportunities that are out there because really they make such a huge difference with just academics, like learning more and empowering your academic ability. And it really gives you a broader idea of what it means to be in healthcare, and it also could specify your interest in a certain area. I want to do primary care pediatrics, and after the clinical rotations that we have with Kaiser and Stanford ER and 2 of the other free clinics in underrepresented communities, it definitely just verified that that's where I want to be. So definitely take the opportunity to apply for these opportunities.
We had a question up the front.
After you finish your 6 weeks of studies, can you get letters of recommendation from your professors?
Great question. So the question was, after we finish with the 6 weeks of study, can we get letters of recommendation from our professors? So the way that the University of Washington worked was that it was actually med school students for certain classes who were teaching the classes. So that had its advantages in the sense that you could talk to these medical students and be like, hey, I really want to know what it actually is. I don't want to just read on paper. I want to know from a person. There were classes that were taught by professors at the University of Washington. And yes, to answer that, you can get letters of recommendation from the people that were there. I currently am still keeping in touch with my professors, the directors of the program, and my physicians I shadowed. So the advantage is that you stick with the physician for about 5 weeks of the program. And you really get to build that personal connection with them because you're following them around for an entire day once a week. So it's really up to you. Question.
Does it make any difference if you choose a site that's in California or one that's outside of California?
In terms of admissions or?
Yeah.
No. I would definitely say no. Again, I applied to the University of Washington site. I got in. What really determines your admissions is your application and who you are and who you portray to be in the paper, right? So it's important to read the descriptions of the programs and say, do I fit into the description? Is this really what I relate to? And then based off of that, apply for the programs. And even then, you should still apply. It's a great opportunity. So at least I personally don't think it makes a difference. We had a question?
Yeah, Jose, how much general sort of counseling or guidance did you receive as part of the program on the application process, sort of looking ahead to the next couple of years in terms of what you would need to do to advance as a pre-med student?
So the question was, in terms of future application processes, how much guidance did we receive? A lot. We actually had, within the classes, within the shadowing, within practicing where med school students practice, surgeons practice, we had workshops. These workshops dealt with demystifying the MCAT, studying for medical school. It dealt with the application process, primaries, secondaries. It went even as far as going to OSCEs. OSCEs were simulations that med school students do to pass. They have to pass in order to keep going, right? So there's a paid actor who comes in and they act as a patient that you don't know. And you walk into the room, you interview them, and they decide whether you pass or not. So we physically got to do that. There's finance in terms of how do you fund for med school? How should you worry about funding for med school? Where does it come from? What can you do? In terms of looking into the future, they definitely look out for everyone and make sure that you understand what's coming.